Hey, what up guys? This is Martin here from Mip Kodiak. Your favorite Chad is here from Poland, like always, showing up no matter what. And on this particular episode right here, this is going to be a special one, by the way. I'm going to give you guys the 7 signs that you're dealing with a toxic person. And this is something that a couple of you guys have asked me to do on my personal group. So here we go. And before I get on with the signs, I just want to make 2 really important distinctions here. Number 1, a hater and a toxic person is not the same thing. Because a lot of people think it's the same thing. It's not. You know, a hater is basically just someone who has given up. It's a quitter. Someone who wishes that they were like us one day. You know, they display a lot of toxic behaviors, obviously. They have excessive jealousy, bitterness, enviness, right? A lot of these things. But it's not the same thing. A toxic person is someone who, it's usually a lot deeper, okay? It's not the same thing. And second, usually the people that display most of these toxic qualities are usually people who come from our closest circle, like our family members, our relatives, siblings, maybe even your kids, if you have kids, your wife, your spouse, your girlfriend, right? Maybe some of your best buddies. And so it's really important that you guys understand these signs, okay? So, let's get on with it. Sign number 1, excessive criticism, constant criticism. It almost feels like you're being attacked by them, okay? It's almost like you're being stabbed in the back. And it's really contagious. They always have a reason as to why you're not doing the right thing, you know? They always want to blame you for their problems. They always want to criticize you and fix your life, you know, on their terms. But it's so negative, guys. This is negative energy. You might say that this is hate. It can be, okay? I'm not saying it, you know, that's not the case here. But constant criticism is something that is really contagious. You know, they're always like trying to fix you. They're always trying to, you know, improve you on their own way. But it never really works. Because they're looking at life from their own lens. They're not really understanding how you're viewing the world, right? They just want to put on this negative energy onto you. And so it's contagious. It's infectious, actually. It's that crabs in a bucket mentality, you know. It's, you know, avoid as much as possible. And there's a difference between constructive criticism and, you know, excessive criticism or just bad criticism in general. You know, good criticism is actually when somebody wants to help you. When they see that you have certain flaws and that you can fix something really fast if you just, you know, tweak this one thing, you adjust your strategy, whatever. But excessive criticism is something completely different. It's almost like you can be the best, you know, worker, you can do the best job, you can have an outstanding performance, but they will always find something to, you know, blame you for. They will always like find little fault in whatever you do. So if you're experiencing this, you know, cut them off. It's such bad energy. It's bad behavior. You don't want it in your life. Which actually leads me to my second sign number 2. And it's going to be the victim mentality, playing the victim card. Guys, oh my God, this is so contagious. This is so poisonous, guys. Avoid this type of person as much as you can. Always playing the victim card. You know, it's never my fault. You know, this is basically what a victim type of person is. You know, they're always blaming you for their problems. They're blaming their parents for their shortcomings. Maybe they're blaming their kids, their wife, their coach, you know, that cut them from their high school team 20 years ago. You know, it's never their fault. And this is so contagious, guys. Never, ever listen to these people, especially in relationships. You know, a lot of women do this very well. They love playing the victim card. You know, they fail to have accountability. They fail to take responsibility for their actions. You know, and so they blame you for it, you know. And it's a very toxic behavior. You want to avoid it as much as possible. I'm not saying that, you know, unless it was really your fault. But I mean, this, you know, if you really dived into this whole situation and you looked at it from both angles, you know, you really analyzed the whole thing very thoroughly, you know, and you can see that this is not your fault, but it's actually the other person's fault, and they're still not really understanding it. They fail to recognize it. Bro, that's a sign of a very toxic person. Fuck, guys. I've experienced these types of people so many times in my own life. You know, they always blame me for their problems. And a lot of parents do this as well, you know, to their kids. You know, you're the reason why, you know, I never had a career. You're the reason why I never became anything, because I had to feed you. Bro, that's a sign of a very toxic person. You want to cut him off. Which actually leads me to my next sign, which is going to be sign number 3, gaslighting. This is kind of the same thing, but this is a little bit different. Gaslighting basically means that they do something the wrong way, they make a mistake, and they fail to admit it, and they blame you for it. You know, let's say, like, let me give you guys an example of it. Let's say we have the New Year's coming up. Let's say somebody wants to lose weight, okay? They want to get fit. They want to build muscle. They want to get in an amazing shape for 2025. Okay, kudos to them. And then, you know, let's say 2025 rolls by. You know, we have January, then we have February, and then March. And they still fail to take action, okay? But you started, okay? You're working on your ass. You're getting better. You're improving yourself. And then eventually, let's say May comes by and they're like, oh my God, it's your problem why I didn't lose weight. Because that one time in January, you didn't buy me this. You know, you didn't work out with me in January. You know, you didn't work out with me, you know, during this time of the year. So I had to stop it. This is gaslighting. Perfect example of it. You know, going back to my previous point, a lot of women do this as well. Very many girls. And this is why you guys have to be very wary and understand where that person comes from. And usually these types of behaviors come from a dysfunctional family. Because, I mean, let's be honest here. Most of us don't really come from healthy, loving families. That's just how it is. A lot of you guys who are watching me, a lot of you grew up in single family households. Maybe your dad wasn't really the nicest person to you. Maybe you had a shitty mom. Like, I don't know what's the case, guys. Or maybe you didn't have any parents. You grew up at a foster home. I don't know. But this is very difficult, guys. This is because all of these things are heavily ingrained in us. So we have to unlearn all these things. It's an unlearning process as we grow up. So, but gaslighting is a very toxic sign. Or let's say you guys wanted to go on a trip. Let's say you wanted to go on a trip with your girl, okay? And then something happens. She did something wrong, but then she's going to blame you for her mistake. Okay, let's say you guys wanted to cook food. Let's say you wanted to have some barbecue, you know, during camping, okay? And she failed to really follow through with something, or maybe she didn't realize a mistake, and then she's going to blame you for it. Perfect example of gaslighting. You know, it's very manipulative, by the way. They're basically trying to, like, shame you, and they want to throw the guilt on you, in a way. That's a strong sign of a very sadistical, evil person. I'm not saying we're not going to display any type of gaslighting or negative behaviors, because we're human, right? We will make mistakes from time to time, but if it gets to the point where it's excessive, or you can see that this is happening on a repetitive basis, cut them off straight away. Okay, sign number 4, dishonesty and lying. Guys, this is another really big point here. Whenever somebody lies to you, or you caught them lying, bro, like, I'm not sure if you guys have ever experienced this, but whenever you can see that someone is blatantly, openly lying to you, it's almost like you can never really trust that person again. It's almost like you almost see them in a very different light. I think a lot of you have gone through this. It's very difficult to explain. It's almost like they break that trust thing, okay? It's almost like they cut this string, and you will never really be able to, recognize them in that way ever again. But dishonesty and lying is a really strong sign of a toxic person. I mean, in my opinion, dishonesty and lying is almost the same thing. Because whenever somebody's dishonest with you, they're not really telling you the truth. And it's the same thing when somebody's lying to, okay? They're really just making some shit up just to appeal to you or maybe to impress you. And again, this is not just to blame girls here, but I mean, a lot of guys do this too. You know, they lie, they're dishonest. And this is like whenever someone is always trying to like appeal to you, they're always trying to be extremely nice to you from the get-go. They're always agreeing with you. They're being what I would call yes people. That's a strong sign of a negative person, of a toxic person. Because there's going to come a point later in your friendship or in your partnership at some point, you guys will get in a little argument, you may have a little dispute, and they will disagree with you, and it's almost like they will never ever contact you ever again. Because they feel like something has happened to you guys. It's almost like you broke their heart, you broke their feelings, I know, you hurt their feelings, whatever, right? It happens all the time. They will feel jaded, they will feel very lousy because of it. And you will feel very weird of it, right? So yeah, dishonesty and lying, very, very strong sign. Okay, sign number 5, lack of empathy. And someone might ask me, hey Martin, what is a lack of empathy? Well, allow me to explain. So the thing is, empathy basically means that you have a deep understanding of where somebody's coming from. When you're being empathetical, you can really grasp and comprehend where the other person is coming from, okay? That means you're not being judgmental, you're not being shady, you're not being weird because somebody has a different opinion to you. You're actually being apathetic. You can really, put yourself in the other person's shoes. That's basically what it means. And so, but most people don't have it, bro. Most people are not empathetical at all. They will always try to judge you. They will always, throw these little shades at you. They will always, make you feel guilty because you think a certain way or you're different than them. And that's a very strong sign that you're dealing with a toxic person. Whereas a good person, a good friend, or just a really good caring person will always they will be empathetical to your situation. They will really try to be in your position and find a common ground. Very important, guys. Lack of empathy, bro. Very strong one too. On to the next one. Number 6. Sign number 6. Being a control freak, guys. Ooh. This is so powerful here. This is such an evil trait, especially in relationships, guys. But being a control freak is a sign of a very, very evil and bad person. It's a sign it's like that person has been resurrected by the devil in so many ways. You know, a lot of parents usually do that. You know, they want to manipulate their kid, their child, their daughter, their son, right, into doing certain things. You know, they do it all the time. They're being excessively controlled in a way. You know, they want to control their kid. They want to control everything. You know, they want to control the decisions, right? They want to control their budget. They want to control everything, you know. And usually parents, especially when you're getting married or you have a new girlfriend or whatever, they always want to chime in and correct the girl in a way. And it's so evil. This is just wrong. I think and a while ago, I actually asked this one lady this question because at the time, my parents were going through a really hard time. They were having a lot of, unnecessary disputes, and they were, having a lot of arguments. It was really lousy, okay? And this chick, I think she was divorced at the time, but she was with her man for 20 years. And she has a daughter that's around my age. And I was like, hey, what should I do to fix this? Should I get involved in this? Should I take my dad's side? Should I take my mom's side? And she was like, no, you should never get involved in this. Because it's their problem. It is their responsibility to fix the relationship, not yours, okay? I know you're obviously, you're their son, right? You want to fix it. But you should never get engaged in this. It is their responsibility. They should take accountability. If they still love themselves, it is up to them to fix the relationship, not you. And she was spot on with it, okay? But this is why, being a control freak will never help you. Never. If some things are meant to happen, they will happen. But being excessive and controlling your partner, your kid, it never really goes well, okay? You will fuck up your kid if you think like that. And so, which actually leads me to sign number 7. It's going to be the last sign on the list. As you can probably see, I have a lot of pauses between the videos because I'm not really in the mood to record it today. But being selfish, excessive selfishness, it's a big toxic trait. Now, I'm not saying you should never be selfish. I'm not saying you should never care for yourself. This is not what I'm saying. But being excessively selfish is a whole different thing. It's a whole different matter. Being excessively selfish basically means that you have no empathy. You basically have, you encompass all these traits that I've just talked about. You know, you have a lack of empathy, you have a lack of understanding, you don't really care for the other person, and you're just being an evil person in general. You're being bad. So, being excessively selfish, it's always your turn. You know, you're never wrong. You're always playing the victim card. You're always, trying to gaslight anyone who doesn't agree with you. Bro, that's a sign of a really toxic person. And so, but guys, let me ask you this question. Before you go out and you really analyze and ask yourself if the other person is toxic by using the guideline that I give you here, ask yourself this. Am I being a toxic person? Do I have any of these traits? And do I have certain habits, certain things that I do that are just wrong, okay? What should I do? Should I remove them? Yeah. That's what you should do. But again, this takes real honesty and real authenticity. And you really have to lower your ego, guys, because most people have way too big fucking egos. You know, they have no money, they have no success, but they have all the ego in the world. Okay, it's crazy, guys. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys found some value in this video, even though it was a little bit all over the place. But that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you guys a strong Giga Chad day. Stay strong.